on to the strangers I called to for a little light. I would run to you, moving on in time. I breathe in and the cigarette glistens, going 95. I would run to you, and I keep losing touch. I wanna drive forever until I don't feel wild anymore, wild anymore. And I keep losing touch. I wanna drive forever until I don't feel wild anymore, wild anymore. Until I don't feel wild anymore. And I keep losing touch. I wanna drive forever until I don't feel wild anymore, wild anymore. I threw my fears away. I whispered to the city night. I threw my fears away. I whispered to the city night. I threw my fears away. I whispered to the city night. I threw my fears away. I whispered to the city night. Driving in the night, holding on to the strangers I called to for a little light. I would run to you, moving on in time. I breathe in and the cigarette glistens, going 95. I would run to you, and I keep losing touch. until I don't feel wild anymore, wild anymore. Tonight I keep losing touch. I wanna drive forever until I don't feel wild anymore, wild anymore. Until I don't feel wild anymore. And I keep losing touch. I wanna drive forever until I don't feel wild anymore, wild anymore. I threw my fears away. I whisper to the city night. I threw my fears away. I whisper to the city night. I threw my fears away. I whisper to the city night. I threw my fears away. I whisper to the city night. Driving in the night, holding on to the strangers I called to for a little light. I would run to you, moving on in time. I breathe in and the cigarette glistens, going 95. I would run to you. And I keep losing touch. I want don't feel wild anymore. And I keep losing touch. I wanna drive forever until I don't feel wild anymore. Wild anymore. I threw my fears away. I whisper to the city night. I threw my fears away. I whisper to the city night. I threw my fears away. I whisper to the city night. I threw my fears away. I whisper to the city night. Driving in the night, holding on to the strangers I called to for a little light. I would run to you, moving on in time. I breathe in and the cigarette glistens, going 95. I would run to you. And I keep losing touch. I wanna drive forever until I don't feel wild anymore. Wild anymore. And I keep losing touch. I wanna drive forever until I don't feel wild anymore. Wild anymore. At the servo, cassette flip to the side that would sing to on at night drives. Oh, not anymore. I threw my fears away. I whispered to the city night. I used to believe in you. Oh, not anymore. Not anymore. And I keep losing touch. I wanna drive forever until I don't feel wild anymore. Wild anymore. And I keep losing touch. I wanna drive forever until I don't feel wild anymore. Wild anymore.
Good morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. Did you think that this wasn't going to happen? Good morning, everybody. Yay, we're all here. We're hanging out. Everybody's happy, right? Everybody's happy. And your microphone really sucks, Austin. I know. It's just... There we go. That's going to probably make it a little better. There we go. Stephanie Peterson joining us live on the show. What's up, Stephanie? Let's give her a round of applause.
My H2O.
Your H2O.
Thanks to Trump. We have H2O.
I loved it when Trump last night described we had H2O.
I know.
So obviously we're struggling a little bit this morning over at rumble.com. The technical question of whether or not we'll be up on rumble.com is TBD.
Yes, Rumble Rick was in the chat. He said they're working on it.
They are working on it. We appreciate that. I mean, they're very responsive. They got blasted last night. You know why? It's just because everybody's trying to watch Rumble right now.
Absolutely.
They're a victim of their own success.
Yeah, no one wants to hear the commentary.
Yeah, and I don't want to accommodate them, and I want to work with them the best I can. But of course, we only have a short window here to do the show, and so we've got to go on with the show. But let us know what's going on, Rumble. I'll be monitoring my email, and you guys just let us know what we can do to try and fix what's happening. We are multi-streaming thanks to Rumble Studios, so thanks for that, guys.
Yeah.
They're very accommodating for that. They're not like, no, you can't stream on other platforms with Rumble Studios. So they're helpful with that. Thank you, guys. We appreciate that. We want to be able to talk to our friends in the morning, and we want to be able to talk about what happened last night, which is obviously a bloodbath. Ooh. I'm reading the Wall Street Journal this morning. Democrats privately discuss replacing Biden on the presidential ticket. This is the Wall Street Journal's article today. President Biden's halting performance against Donald Trump on Thursday left the Democratic Party in turmoil, with officials trying to sort through the president's prospects after an appearance in which he stumbled over words, stammered through answers, and elevated widespread voter concerns that he is too old to serve. Stephanie, I walked in last night. We're in the debate, and your face, you were like this.
I know. It was during the first part where Biden was talking about COVID, and then he lost train of thought, and then all of a sudden he ended with something about Medicare, and I was just like, "Oh my God!"
I've got the clips. I've got a million clips. And I will be playing them all here in just a few minutes. We're going to have Justin Peterson join us live this morning at 8 a.m.
He was watching too.
Yeah, he was talking about it.
In our family chat about how terrible everything was.
Yeah, I mean, we have the family chat, and like everybody's like anti-Biden. It used to be that it used to be when we were younger, Justin, before he got red pilled, that Justin would be like the lone dissenting liberal, right, in the family chat. I'll be like, but not anymore. Now we're all, like, the Peterson family is united.
Yes.
So
bad again if I lose my train of thought. I mean, I think that's one of the most embarrassing things that can happen to a person. But you know what? If our president can just stumble like that, any of us can. It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's not okay for the president to do it, though, obviously. So we've got a billion clips. Let's go ahead and get started with let's pull up the first post-debate poll that you can see on the website right now. CNN debate watchers. Okay, this is CNN's poll,
and they're very leftist.
Yeah, CNN poll. Who won the debate? Joe Biden, 33%. Donald Trump, 67%.
Imagine him actually winning the election by that amount.
I think that, well, that's probably not going to happen. So, I mean, at this point now, all we really have to worry about is that Joe Biden might actually step down.
Yeah, I was just trying to picture what his campaign team was saying last night behind the scenes, and like how they all responded once he came off the stage. Were they like, "Great job, Biden, high five," or were they like, "Oh no"?
We're hearing some stories a little bit about what happened behind the scenes last night. But let's take a listen to this. Was the first moment that he really shut down last night.
Making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID. With dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump.
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death, and he.
Oh my goodness.
He's so funny.
I don't know how I would have responded to that. That was quite an awkward moment. I wonder if his campaign team coached him to say a certain sentence at the end of something in case he loses his train of thought.
I don't know.
They should have had an automatic go-to that he could just say and then be done.
Even that might be like too much for him to try and remember something like that.
Right.
Honestly, I can't say, but I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, it was quite clear that President Biden is not capable of handling this job. If this is how he does in like the most prepped, like most safest position, because remember how CNN set it up? It was very much friendly to Joe Biden there's no way he can actually handle the job of presidency. And like when I was in the shower this morning, we were talking about it, and I was explaining to you about how much the presidency ages you.
Oh, yes.
And think about when he went in 4 years ago, he was already stumbling a little bit, right?
Mhm.
But then he goes in. I mean, Barack Obama went in with black hair, came out with white hair.
Right.
The presidency ages you more than 4 years, 4, 8, 10, 15 years. It's a high stress, high pressure job. And I think even Democrats recognize now that he doesn't have the capability of finishing that job because he's not going to make it. I mean, have you ever seen this clip? It reminded me a lot of this clip, this famous viral clip from years ago. Some of you might remember.
You could do so. You want him to do you so much you could do anything.
And that's what we get for Medicare.
That's what we get for Medicare, yes.
Well, you did say Biden had a cold last night.
That was the Democratic, explanation, is that he had a cold last night. It did sound like he had a cold.
Sounds like he has a cold. He's always holding his fist up to his mouth. He's always like, like as if he's gonna cough, but he doesn't.
Yeah, but let's remember some of what the mainstream media was saying about Joe Biden's mental health about 12 days ago. Listen to this.
Tape right now, because I'm about to tell you the truth. And F you if you can't handle the truth. This version of Biden is the best Biden ever.
She knows so long as she was 9.
In fact, I think he's better than he's ever been.
President Biden has a photographic memory. His understanding and mastery of a complicated geopolitical situation is remarkable.
He is sharp, intensely probing, and detail-oriented and focused.
Jackie, are you here? Where's Jackie? I didn't think she was going to be here.
I was sitting, 2 feet from him across the table, and he was, intense.
Have trouble walking sometimes? Yeah, so did FDR. He wanted GD war.
But he's totally focused. He's very sharp.
They say he's sharp in meetings and so on.
Very lucid, very well informed. Biden is stately, and he comes with gravitas. There hasn't been, as far as I know, a single claim that Biden made a mistake. Ageism is an issue. Americans have a rich history of holding people's physical characteristics against them. Okay, you can ask African Americans.
He's older. That doesn't mean that he is unfit, and there's a lot of ageism there.
Now, this age attack, this obsession by the right,
Joe Biden may not be able to speak for himself the way.
And it goes on and on and on and on and on. That's
61. Trump is 78, I believe. Ron Paul is 88.
Yes.
So, I mean, even Ron Paul does a better job at speaking, and he's 7 years older.
And he had a stroke on camera at one point, So here was what Patrick Bet-David says was the because you'd be in jail moment, the sort of finishing blow that Trump gave to Biden last night.
The total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look, we had the same.
Oh my God, bro!
Could he just be an alcoholic? Maybe he's stumbling his words
no.
because he's on a drug.
If he was on alcohol as well as all the other stuff, I think we'd be in trouble. I do have to say thank you to our friends Courtney Conover, who says that they won't replace him. They're doubling down, and she donated $2. Brock Van Wagner says that despite our disagreements, thank you for the discussion, AP. Just wanted to let you know I like you and don't consider you an enemy. Yeah, Brock and I have been kind of disagreeing over the DeSantis stuff. For the last few days, I've been tugged.
Oh, I thought he was pro-Biden.
No. So he's been tussling a little bit with me, but more so other people on the whole Ron DeSantis thing. And people are like, how did this even start, Austin? Attacking Ron DeSantis people.
Right.
And it started a few days ago when I said I like Vivek Ramaswamy.
I do too.
Yeah, and a lot of conservatives who are DeSantis people hate Vivek Ramaswamy. So when I posted that I like Vivek, they were like retweeting me, like saying Austin's a moron. You're a sellout, Austin. You sold out your principles, and I'm just kind of like, what the?
How? Is Vivek that against our?
They're retarded. They think that. But the thing is that they're conservatives.
Yes.
And they think that I'm supposed to support a conservative instead of a libertarian.
Oh, okay.
They don't understand that, like, I'm not one of them. Like they're like,
right.
because I'm more friendly to conservatives, like as a libertarian.
You dabble in
I dabble, right.
Mm-hmm.
They think that like I'm like them, and they don't, most of them don't know the difference between a libertarian and a Libertarian Party member. So they get confused about that as well.
Mm-hmm.
But like they brought down the thunder, and now they caught the lightning, because I was just lighting them up for the last few days, because I like Vivek Ramaswamy. I like him far better than I like Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis is okay, but he's kind of just garden variety when it comes to conservatives.
He really didn't stand out at all.
No, and I mean, that's his own fault, and the people who pushed him to run for president's fault. He just ran a lackluster campaign. And they were like taking pictures of me when my dad had like given me the book of Ron DeSantis.
Oh, yes.
And
yes, I saw that.
Yeah, and I'd had the picture of me holding up the book, and it's like, they're like, and I hadn't read it yet, right? So I just like, my dad sent me this book, and they're like, well, what happened? You used to like Ron DeSantis, blah, blah, blah. And it's kind of like, well, I read the book, and then I realized I didn't like him all that much.
That was the Communist Manifesto. Do you really think I'm a communist?
No,
just because you read a book doesn't mean you like the person that's in the book.
Right. Thank you to Matt Unruh as well. He donated $2 and says that, okay, like this streamer, you think Biden won it, right? So anyways, there's a lot of triggering going on because DeSantis people, he got spanked in the primary.
Isn't he irrelevant at this point? He's not even a VP pick. Possibility. Vivek is more so a possibility than he is. At least from what I hear at this point.
Yes.
So it's like, DeSantis, what do you want us to do?
Yeah.
I mean, what else is he going to do here in the future? What are his plans?
Yeah, it's Courtney Conover says, oh yeah, your feed has been a poop show. It certainly has.
Right now?
No, the X feed, not the live stream, but like my X Twitter.
Gotcha. Yes.
So if you're just tuning into the Wake Up America show, good morning. I'm Austin Peterson. I'm sorry that we're not on Rumble this morning. They've asked me to, basically the only way to try and fix it would be to stop down the stream. And start it back up, which is kind of like, I don't know if I want to do that. But we'll try again Monday. We are streaming through Rumble Studios, so at least the studio is working.
Right.
But
we could probably upload the video to Rumble.
We could, if I had a faster internet connection than like the stupid Wi-Fi that I have. But I mean, we're a little bit in trouble here. So unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be able to do that on Rumble. So if you're watching us, if you want to hear us or see us, and if you're listening to us right now, it's probably not on Rumble. So, but we will be back on Monday. Sorry, guys. I don't want to stop the show. So, let's continue here with the topic. So this was we need to like talk about this because this really was, I think, like the coup d'etat of the debate. We're going to play this clip one more time here.
The total initiative relative to what we can do with more border patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look, we had the safest border in the history of our country.
I mean, that's it right there. He doesn't know what he's saying either.
Because at first Trump was ignoring the fact that he was mumbling and bumbling and not making sense. And he was just trying to go on and continue having a conversation. But I'm glad he pointed it out. I think he was pointing out the obvious.
Well, I think if anything, even though it was a good jab by Donald Trump, I felt like Trump really held his own. He was very presidential last night.
I don't know how you couldn't laugh. I mean, if I was up there, I'd be like, oh.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, you could kind of see it in Trump's eyes, but I think he was probably coached properly to behave himself. And
you know who he reminded me of last night?
Who?
Derek Zoolander. Because he kept doing like with his lips, where he's piercing his lips.
Yep. CNN fact-checked the debate last night.
Some of them. He said he's the only president in a while who didn't have any troops dying anywhere in the world. Troops have, of course, died on his watch. He said he's put in a $15 per shot cap on insulin and Medicare. It's a $35 a month cap. He said it's a $200 cap on overall drug spending in Medicare. It's $2,000 a year. He said the border now has fewer crossings than when Trump was in office. That's generally not true. He said, or at least strongly suggested, unemployment was at 15% when he took office. It was actually 6.4. He said Trump wants to get rid of Social Security. Trump doesn't. He said billionaires pay 8.2% in taxes. It's much higher. He said Trump told Americans to inject bleach amid COVID. We know Trump made foolish comments about scientists studying disinfectant injection, but didn't frame it as advice to people. And Biden said the Border Patrol endorsed him. No, its union supported the border bill he supported, never endorsed him himself. In some of them, he said.
Damn, bro, they just shut him down entirely.
That's the thing about Biden is yesterday he was really trying to carry with stories and statistics, but his memory is so bad. He can't even remember the stories. He can't remember the numbers. So he just kept mumbling and saying different words, and you had no idea what he was talking about the entire time.
And CNN didn't say this, but I think they should have. I'm pretty sure, with like 80% sure that that Biden didn't sign the bill to reduce the cost of insulin. I think it went into effect during Biden's presidency, but it was actually Trump that signed that.
Shoot.
Yeah, it was. So that was another one to fact check there. Somebody fact check me if I'm incorrect on that one. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that one here. Here's CNN's post-debate analysis.
There is no two ways about it. That was not a good debate for Joe Biden.
Ben? That was painful. I love Joe Biden. I work for Joe Biden. He didn't do well at all. He did not do well at all. And he looked, I'll give you the analysis, you kind of have the old man versus the con man. I can walk you through how I'm supposed to see it and say it, but I just want to speak from my heart. I love that guy. That's a good man.
He's talking like he's at his funeral.
It's like you can love your grandpa, but he doesn't have to be president.
Yeah, I mean, these guys, and here's the thing, and these guys are completely in the tank. I mean, he's sitting there talking about how much he loves him, but it's kind of like he's crying at his wake.
Yeah.
It's like...
I'm surprised they didn't just deny it and be like, oh, he did just fine. He made great points.
Of this country.
I'm sure there's some news reporters that are doing that.
But he had a test to meet tonight to restore confidence of the country and of the base, and he failed to do that. And I think there's a lot of people who are going to want to see him consider taking a different course now. We're still far from our convention. And there is time for this party to figure out a different way forward if he will allow us to do that. But that was
so at this point,
what does that mean? Nursing home?
Yeah. So here's the thing. At this point now, the best candidate for Republicans, if we want to win this fall, is Joe Biden.
Oh, yes. Oh, absolutely.
Do you remember what happened with Ruth Bader Ginsburg?
Well, she just kept staying in there.
Yes, she just stayed in there. And Joe Biden, despite all the pressure that has been brought on him to step aside, and people like public pressure and private pressure to try and step aside, he is not going to do it. Or at least he stated that he won't do it. The only scenario now that we could see where they would pick somebody else is if Joe Biden himself releases his delegates at the Chicago convention, the Democratic convention, in order for someone else to step in and take it over. Now, a lot of people are asking a question and they're saying things like, well, isn't it too late because Joe Biden's on the ballot?
I was asking that this morning.
Here's the thing.
Isn't there some sort of deadline?
Yes, there are deadlines. But remember, we're talking about the government and we're talking about Democrats. The laws don't apply. They will change the laws. What they'll do is they'll call all their friends in government, state governments across the country. They will put every amount of pressure to say, we're not going to fund your re-election campaigns to all the secretaries of state. Remember, it's the Jay Ashcrofts of the country that have to make those decisions when it comes to the ballots, right? They will find money that it takes to reprint ballots. They will go through any level of corruption that it takes to change the laws so that they can put a different name on the ballot. Or it could be a situation where it's like, this is a long time ago, Stephanie. When I was still in college, there was a gentleman who was killed here in the state of Missouri. And I forget who his name is off the top of my head. I think it's Mel Carnahan. Mel Carnahan was on the ballot running for, I believe, governor of the state of Missouri. And he was in a plane crash and he died.
Oh, wow.
Right. But his wife was replaced on the ballot with him, but they didn't replace her name. He was still, a dead man was on the ballot. He was killed like a day before the election or something. Yes.
It's terrible.
Yes. And so what they did was they basically just made it, I mean, it's totally corrupt. They just made it so that the replacement candidate on the ballot would be his wife, so that Mel Carnahan, a vote for Mel Carnahan was a vote for Carnahan's wife. So his wife just took over.
Yeah, that doesn't sound right.
It was completely and totally, it's completely corrupt.
And they won?
And they won. Oh. And she became the governor for a short time, right? So
my goodness.
Yeah, I mean, for those of...
It's like having a power of attorney government. It's like, if I cannot do my job, this is the person I'm going to have do the job for me.
Exactly. AM over in the chat says they will issue emergency orders and do whatever the F they want. Exactly. They will do whatever they want because they're the government and you're not.
Right. I mean, there has to be something about competency in the laws in terms of running for office.
This was Karine Jean-Pierre, the White House press secretary, recently commenting on Joe Biden's mental health.
He is not just my boss, but, he's also a mentor to me. And I've spent sometimes countless hours with him, whether it's in the Oval Office, whether it's on the road. And I believe, for me, you're asking me my personal opinion, he is sharp. He is on top of things. When we have meetings with him, with his staff, he's constantly pushing us, trying to get more information. And so that has been my experience with this president. Anything else outside of that, I just shared with you what Dr. O'Connor said to me, and so I'll just leave it there.
Maybe he just has stage fright. He gets nervous in front of crowds. It seems like behind closed doors, he's fine. That's what these people are saying.
I can't remember if it was Gulf War I or Gulf War II. I think it was the second Iraq War. That there was this person who worked in the community. He was like the communications director for Saddam Hussein, and they called him Baghdad Bob. And he was, as the American forces were converging on Baghdad, he was out on the media saying that the American forces are being destroyed. The American dogs are running like scared animals in the desert. We're destroying their tanks. Their planes are dropping from the sky. And it became a meme before memes were memes.
Right.
It became a meme, Baghdad Bob, because the meme means that when everything's falling apart, your propaganda minister is out there saying, everything's great, like Joseph Goebbels kind of a thing, right?
It's happening now.
Yes.
Yeah, people are just saying, oh, trust me, when we get him alone, he's just fine. This is just an anomaly here. Don't worry.
Nowadays, we tend to call something like that cope.
Oh, absolutely.
Here's Joe's wife, who some people are calling a monster for what she's doing to him, for doing things like this. Take a listen.
It's such a great job. You answered every question. You knew all the... And let me ask the crowd, what did Trump do? Why?
This is after the debate?
Yes.
God.
I know, it's cringe.
That's like applauding some, dementia patient for saying their ABCs. Or,
yes.
Yay, you actually got one word out.
This reminds me a little bit of kind of like the Howard Dean scream. Do you remember this? When this politician, it was way back in like 2004. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yes, that's very much like what's going on here with Joe Biden.
Oh, yeah. Every time Joe Biden answered a question, he started with, "This is malarkey. This is a lie." He always came back to that.
Yep. The Democrats called Vivek Ramaswamy a madman when he said this in the Republican presidential debates.
I'm going to close with one message to the Democrat Party. End this farce that Joe Biden is going to be your nominee. We know he's not even the president of the United States. He's a puppet for the managerial class. So have the guts to step up and be honest about who you're actually going to put up so we can have an honest debate. Biden should step aside, end his candidacy now so we can see whether it's Newsom or Michelle Obama or whoever else.
All right,
just
Mr.
tell us the
Ramaswamy,
truth so we can have an honest debate.
Dude, that's Vivek Ramaswamy. He called it.
Oh, he did.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be really scared if somebody new came out because people like my sister, she doesn't like Biden or Trump, but I'm sure if like Hillary Clinton or Newsom came out, she'd be like, oh yeah, I'm voting for them.
Yeah. You want to?
Absolutely.
I want to talk about the abortion part of the debate here.
Oh, yes. That was really interesting to me.
Yeah, we're going to get there in just a moment. But before we do, because the Wake Up America show stream is a little bit all over the place this morning, we do have people watching us over on YouTube as well as on X. Unfortunately, the Rumble feed itself is not up, and I apologize for that. But for those of you who are joining us on another platform, it looks like we do have around maybe 1,000 people watching us live over on x.com. Yeah, about 1,100 over on x.com and about 67 or so over on YouTube. Thanks for sticking around with us. Sorry about the technical issues this morning. I'm sure we'll have it all sorted out by Monday. Because we don't have the same ability to do live reads and to sort of monetize the feed this morning like we normally would, I think the best way to support the Wake Up America show is get something for your money. Head on over to ap4libertyshop.com. That's AP, the number 4, ap4libertyshop.com. Stephanie, we've got all kinds of amazing products in there, and some of these items can actually still arrive by the 4th of July, but you have to check. Angelo actually went through all of the items and put in how long the delivery of each item is.
So cool. Well, if you order a keychain, I for sure know that you're going to get it because I package those myself. And if you order a Buddha,
yes. Well,
you can definitely get that on time as well.
In terms of 4th of July, so we've got 4 business days, 5. So
or Kelvin the Coolest President book.
Right.
I can send that.
That we can get to.
Yes.
So if you'd like to support the Wake Up America show, head on over to ap4libertyshop.com. That's AP, the number 4, ap4libertyshop.com. Sales have been going crazy. Steffi, I mean, just real quick, I mean, I think it'd be kind of fun to give everybody an update because we were all excited about the Walton and Johnson collection that we had found started up, right? So
do they know we're working with a radio station down south?
Yeah, so I kind of announced it. And I think people kind of don't understand the implications so much of what it means, but the Gulf Coast radio station, a legendary radio show, they contacted us. We're doing their merch for them now, and it rolled out this week. And boy, we have really been excited to see the response
because they have such a huge audience. I mean, I think they're in like 19 cities throughout Louisiana, Mississippi, and Texas. And so, so you are designing their merch, you have it on your website, and so they're bringing their listeners to ap4libertyshop.com, and then they're buying the merch. So it is so cool.
Yeah, because I mean, we've been working so hard for the last couple of years to build up this merch shop, and there's only so much you can do if you don't advertise, and if you don't have a big advertising budget, it's really hard. I mean, the Wake Up America show, this podcast, is like our number 1 advertising net revenue, but now it's like, now we have like a radio station that's like advertising for us.
Absolutely.
So
such a creative idea.
It's amazing. And this whole week,
you thought of it?
Actually, I'm not going to lie. It wasn't my idea.
Well, it was the radio.
It was Texas. They reached out to us and were like, "We love your stuff. You've got the best. You've got the best stuff." So check out what everybody's talking about. Check out what everybody in the country, conservatives, libertarians, right wingers, populists, anarcho-capitalists, everybody's got a little something if you're on the right at ap4libertyshop.com.
With more companies, businesses, radio shows. So if you all out there, if you know of anybody who would want us to make merch for them and sell it for them,
if you know,
can do that.
If you know anybody who's got a show and they don't do merch, right? So let us know, and we'd be happy to set up a business arrangement. We'll do their merch for them.
Most shows actually have horrible merch. I mean, we were even going through some YouTubers that we listened to, and we were looking at their merch shops, and it's just bad.
Yeah, we can even like develop custom coffees for people as well, and things like that. So head on over to ap4libertyshop.com. Check out what everybody's going. We're selling Appeal to Heaven flags like they're going out of style. Right now, Franklin's Electric Elixir is a top seller, as well as Jeffersonian Java. But check out all of our top sellers. You can see we are just going crazy with our, the How to Spot a Communist tee, Javier Malaya Fuera shirts. Jeremy, our buddy, bought some American flag swim trunks this morning, and the Thug Life mugs as well. So
Trump stuff. We have Buck Biden.
Those are doing really well as well. So
if you want some Biden Trump gear, we definitely have that as well.
That's right. Check out ap4libertyshop.com, and we are going to go back to where we were with the show. Okay, so
abortion, right?
Abortion, yes. So I had the clip.
I was really interested in Trump's stance on abortion. I had no idea.
So I think that's probably where we start, is what Donald Trump said. He said that he believes in exceptions when it comes to the cases of rape or incest.
That was shocking to me.
He wants to win.
I mean, I feel like a lot of the religious Republicans would be like, "Oh."
I mean, here the problem is with the religious Republicans that are pro-life, and we're pro-life, we're non-religious pro-lifers. Is that like you'll never please them. Like there will like unless you. I mean, there's just nothing that can ever please them.
To say bad things about all drugs too.
Right. You can't.
Yeah,
right.
they wouldn't want to legalize marijuana.
Well,
like that.
Well, it's not just marijuana, but the abortion drug. So the mifepristone, right? So mifepristone is the name of it.
I was like, is that the Plan B pill? No, I think that's the literal abortion drug that you literally, if you have a baby growing inside you, it would abort the baby, as far as I understand. So yeah, that's shocking to me that he would be okay with allowing abortion for the incest, medical reasons.
Doesn't surprise me at all. He's always kind of said things like that. Right?
Really?
So, yeah, but then he went on the attack. But and then there's the abortion pill, for example.
That shocks me too.
Well, and here's the thing: like there are Catholics, for example, who not only do they think that, and this is not all Catholics, right? There are some Catholics who are very extreme and some who are very reasonable, and some are like Joe Biden and think you can actually, should be able to do abortion, right? But when it comes to like the, they don't even think you should be able to take like the preventative,
like birth control,
implantation.
You can't take that,
yeah,
or Plan B.
Yeah,
Plan B. I really don't think that's like an abortion because it's before. I think it's before everything actually makes the sperm and the egg actually make anything. I think Plan B is just like preventing it from making anything. I don't know. I see that as an abortion myself. But the abortion pill, yeah, I think that's definitely an abortion.
Yeah. So like, well, the morning after pill, I think.
Yes,
right?
the Plan B.
Right. And I mean, it's not the majority of religious people who believe that should be banned, but there are some religious people who think that should not be allowed either, like the morning after pill.
Oh, sure.
To prevent
Absolutely.
implementation. There are also religious people now who are having this argument about in vitro fertilization.
Oh,
they don't think they think IVF should be banned.
Right. Or that you should use all of your eggs that you've frozen.
Right. And you're
create babies with them.
So you're never going to please the religious pro-lifers.
That's true.
And so they're never going to be happy. So Trump has just kind of drawn his line in the sand and said, and it's his line in the sand is probably a little bit more liberal than where I'm at.
Same.
Yeah,
honestly, I think he's going to bring people like my sister over to him.
Maybe.
Because whenever I get in a debate with my sister who's on the left about abortion, she always says, what about the incest? What about the rape? What about the medical issues? So she probably really liked what Trump had to say about it last night. And that really shows he wants to compromise, just like with the LP. He wants to compromise. He knows what's good for him. You can't get anywhere in government.
Well,
he's
like you want to do what you can to save a baby's life. So he says, but you can't do it if you don't get elected. And
absolutely.
I think he's right.
That's the trick right there.
He's right whether we like it or not.
Yes.
And facing political reality is what it is. So what I thought was interesting though is that he accused Joe Biden and the Democrats of wanting to not only allow abortion up to 8 and 9 months, but abortion after birth. That the child would actually be like delivered alive and then aborted. Joe Biden called him a liar and said that that the Democrats don't believe that, and the Democrats don't believe in abortion for 8 or 9 months. I mean, we're talking.
I wonder how far along Biden is okay with. He didn't exactly specify that.
Well, Joe Biden was lying. The Democrats absolutely believe in abortion up to and even including the day of birth.
And I think in some states they do allow that currently.
But can you imagine, Stephanie? Here we are, like in the last few weeks, how Hazel. We're now seeing like her hands and her feet like sticking out of your belly.
She has hair on her.
She has hair on her.
They showed us her little fuzzies on her hair.
We saw her hair yesterday.
Yeah.
Don't know color yet, but we're excited to see that.
Yes.
But I mean, can you imagine killing her at this phase right now? I mean,
it's terrible. Her hearing is fully developed. She can hear everything.
Yes. She is a live, living human being right now in the womb. In your womb. Yes.
Viable.
Yes.
It's not like she couldn't live if she was born today. I mean, sure, maybe she needs some oxygen support, but yeah. Oh, it's disgusting.
But here's the thing. Joe Biden said that what Donald Trump said was a lie because and I think the most extreme claim that Donald Trump made is that they actually believe that they ought to be allowed to kill the baby after it's born. And it didn't Ron Paul have a story about this, about the baby in the bucket?
Oh, he did. Yes, in one of his books. I forget the name of it, but yes, he talked about when he was in medical school in Michigan. Actually, he witnessed a baby being born, and then they put it in a bucket,
and it was crying.
Died.
And it was crying. They just let it die.
Yes.
And so
it really happens.
And so they
I
said,
mean, that was a long time ago, probably what, in the 60s, 70s.
Yeah, exactly. But Donald Trump, which if that happened, why didn't Ron Paul save the baby? But
that would be a huge moral dilemma.
Right.
What do you do?
Yeah. But the question of whether or not it is true that Democrats believe you ought to be able to kill a baby after it's born, literal infanticide here, is answered in this statement that was made by Ralph Northam several years ago. Joe Biden claims that this never happened because Donald Trump was talking about this event. Listen to this.
If a mother is in labor, I can tell you exactly what would happen. The infant would be delivered. The infant would be kept comfortable. The infant would be resuscitated if that's what the mother and the family desired. And then a discussion would ensue between the physicians and the mother. So I think this was...
Was that about those 3 trimesters that Biden was talking about? First, it's between the mother and the doctor. Second, I'm like, what? He was screwing up his trimesters with something else during the debate.
That's Ralph Northam. And
it's disgusting.
Oh, yeah.
So the baby's born and then you keep it comfortable. What is this, hospice for babies?
Let's listen to it again one more time and about how he phrases this, because we're talking about, he's like, the mother is in labor, so she's giving birth to a child. Take a listen. Take a listen to how he says this.
If a mother is in labor, I can tell you exactly what would happen. The infant would be delivered. The infant would be kept comfortable. The infant would be resuscitated if that's what the mother and the family desired. And then a discussion would ensue between the physicians and the mother. So I think this was...
You and I have had this talk before. Like, we didn't do genetic testing for Hazel on purpose because I think I would feel terrible if I aborted her because of some genetic problem that she was going to have. It's like, sure, if she's born and she's really sick, I would let nature take its course. But if she's totally healthy, no. Why would you let your baby die?
Well, what do you mean when you say let nature take its course? Because I would not let nature take its course. I would say medical intervention.
Yeah, medical intervention. But I'm saying let's say she was born and she had some genetic problem that we had no idea about, like her heart was, failing. Then we would be like, okay, let's keep her comfortable, try to keep her alive as long as we could. But, obviously, if she's going to die, she's going to die. Like, some babies are born like that, where they have some sort of medical issue where they don't live for very long outside the womb. And we're taking that risk. But it's like, if your baby is healthy, there is no reason to do that.
Yes. Terrible. Well, it's just, it really hits close to home when we're weeks away from the birth of our first child. But
absolutely.
It's sad. But I do think that, especially because of how Ron Paul explained what happened with that baby who was alive,
Yes.
and from her mother's womb, untimely ripped, and was breathing and crying, and they let it die in a bucket.
Yeah.
That means that kind of thing, if that's happened once, it's happened a lot more than once.
And haven't we discussed before something like they twist the baby or something when it's coming out, and then that also ends their life? I don't know all of the procedures that they use for this kind of stuff. It's disgusting. I mean, it's like a horror movie.
Yeah. Do you want to watch Kamala Harris's interview after the debate and let's see how she responded to the debate last night? Take a listen.
John King has described a panic inside the Democratic Party right now because of President Biden's performance in tonight's debate. He's been hearing from Democratic lawmakers and others around the country. Some within your own party are wondering if President Biden should even step aside. What do you say to that?
Listen, first of all,
What we saw tonight is the president making a very clear contrast with Donald Trump on all of the issues that matter to the American people. Yes, there was a slow start, but it was a strong finish. And what became very clear through the course of the night is that Joe Biden is fighting on behalf of the American people, on substance, on policy, on performance. Joe Biden is extraordinarily strong. And
but I'm sorry,
that
on
cannot
substance
be
and
debated.
policy and performance tonight, I mean, the president's performance tonight clearly was disappointing for his supporters. CNN is reporting Democratic lawmakers watching the debate were worried about the president's performance. One said it was a disaster. Another called it a train wreck. Those are Democrats especially worried that Biden did not punch back on Trump's lies.
Listen, people can debate on style points, but ultimately this election and who is the president of the United States has to be about substance. And the contrast is clear. Look at what happened during the course of the debate. Donald Trump lied over and over and over again, as he is wont to do. He would not disavow what happened on January 6th. He would not give a clear answer on whether he would stand by the election results this November. He went back and forth about where he stands on one of the most critical issues of freedom in America, which is the right of a woman to make decisions about their own body. He has been completely ambiguous and all over the place about where he stands on that issue, despite the fact that he hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade. And that's exactly what they did, and just
She's really sticking up for him. And it seems like the point they keep going back to, that's what Biden's wife was going back to too, is Trump lies. So that's just what they're feeding the audience now. He lies. He lies.
You know, she's less popular than he is, but she also knows that she's a heartbeat away from the presidency. So she's got to be so careful. And the Democrats know that she's not the best person for the next in line if they do replace her. Now, it might be with Kamala, but then if so, she's probably, you know, Joe Biden is the first best candidate to run against, but Kamala Harris is the second best candidate to run against.
Oh, she knows word salad.
Yes.
Very, very well. The thing is, I don't know how many people actually watch these debates, but they're probably hoping that a lot of impoverished individuals that are living on food stamps and handouts, they're probably hoping those people were not watching the debate and that they're just going to continue listening to these talking points of we're trying to help the poor. We're going to keep giving money to the poor. Trump is lying. He's not going to help the poor. So I feel like they're still going to get a lot of votes from those types of communities that aren't tuned in.
I just saw that our friend from Japan just bought another Javier Milei shirt this morning.
The one we met on the train.
No, not what's his name? Sochi Ramen. Sochi Ramen. No, not the guy we met on the bullet train. The massage therapist guy. No. So we've got this young lady who's like a huge fan of Javier Milei.
Yeah.
And she lives in Japan, near Kyoto.
That's right. She bought Javier Milei stuff.
She bought Javier Milei shoes.
Oh.
She's bought so she just bought the Javier Milei tribute tee, which is the Viva las Tetas, you know?
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Whoa. I can only imagine what the Japanese people will say about that one.
She bought it for 5,674 Japanese yen. So make sure you check out apforlibertyshop.com. We're going to go get my brother Justin Peterson, get his take on the debate. We've still got lots more clips to play. We've got a lot more fun to go. Thank you for joining us on one of our alternative platforms this morning. Sorry about the technical issues over on rumble.com. Please do join us, though, back on Rumble on Monday at the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com.
The Cantina Crew, this is Elon Musk, the CEO of Twitter. And I just want to say thank you for watching the Wake Up America show. I've decided that Austin Peterson will be the new CEO of Twitter.com, effective immediately. First thing to do, though, is I've got to go and blast off into space.
if there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would get out there and who would be aggressive, and if they wouldn't do it with more fire or passion than I had, then I would go and I would fight this battle for us. I've fought for the principles that we all share. Parties tend to be secondary to me. We're here because we believe in the principles of liberty. I am not a perfect messenger, but I think I'm a damn good one. This is a replica of our first president's flintlock pistol. You have my full support, my respect, and my gun.
I think that the heart of philosophy is much more libertarianism than well, that's the fashionable word these days, I guess. A conservative is no longer just that. He's a libertarian and always has been.
Yet any time you and I question the schemes of the do-gooders, we're denounced as being against their humanitarian goals. They say we're always against things, we're never for anything.
What is fascism? Fascism is private ownership, private enterprise, but total government control and regulation.
Well, the trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. This is the issue of this election. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
Conservative, so-called, is the one that says less government, get off my back, get out of my pocket, and let me have more control of my own destiny.
Welcome back to the Wake Up America show. I'm your host, Austin Peterson. It's Freedom Family Friday on the show. It's one of the best days. It's my favorite day, of course. Friday is awesome in general, but it's even better because I get to hang out with my smoking hot, redheaded libertarian wifey, Steffi P for Liberty.
Hello.
What's up,
Glad
Steffi?
to be here.
You is pregnant, girl.
Oh, I am.
Very
I'm still
pregnant.
Feeling wonderful.
Good. You're not sleeping any, but...
Yes, I have a lot of energy. I'm like the opposite of most pregnant women.
Yeah.
I'm like anti-tired.
Yeah. But, yeah, so I turn over in the middle of the night, and then I get this blazing light in my eyes because Steffi's on her phone in the middle of the night.
I'm tweeting late at night.
Yeah, exactly. I'll wake up in the morning and Stephanie has read all the news, and
yes.
and she's also got her Sam's Club order in, so
Yes.
everything
I
is.
do my curbside shopping during
that,
the evening.
She does that curbside shopping, then she shows up the next day to get us our protein shakes.
Yeah, we got new protein powder.
That's
It's
right.
So yummy.
Well, speaking of protein shakes, my brother Justin Peterson joining us live from Boston, Mass. this morning.
he does protein
looking
shakes.
buff. Oh
Yeah.
yes, you know he loves drinking protein shakes. Justin, how are you, brother?
I'm good. All day, day. I drink the protein.
Welcome, Justin. We love you, brother.
Yes.
Nice to see you. How are you today?
I'm good. You know, before we start, I have to do a shout out for Dad because today's his wedding anniversary, June 28th, 1969.
Aww.
So I wanted to send out a shout out to Dad for his
Thank you.
That's so sweet.
Happy anniversary, Papa. We love him very much, and we miss our mother, of course, much, 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 much more.
Yes.
Justin, take it away, brother. The presidential debate last night, your takeaway.
I have so many feelings.
Share
Well, you know,
Express them.
I know. Well, you know,
space.
the jig was up, I think, within like 2 or 3 minutes of hearing Biden just talk. You know, I was just like, you know, because he came out. Now, and the joke for me is, you know, that they were saying that he had a cold. Well, you know, I come out of the opera world. And, you know, like if the prima donna goes on and has a cold, they announce that before the opera.
Oh,
right?
really?
They'll say that before the opera to be like, oh, she's under the weather, please be nice, whereas like you can't just like declare halfway through the opera, halfway through the show, oh, he's got a cold,
Right.
so
Oh, that's
it's
interesting.
like,
I never knew that.
yeah. So there is this thing called presbyphonia. I don't know if you can look that up. I said last night on Twitter when I watched the debate, I said that's going to be the word of the day tomorrow. It's presbyphonia. But it's basically like a weakness in the vocal folds that as a person gets older, their vocal cords don't adduct, they don't close as strongly. So you get this very kind of weak vocal sound,
Oh. So that's what he's got going on, not a
well,
cold?
I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I can't really diagnose. But I mean, that's the sound of that is called presbyphonia, right? It's what the name of it is. It's the vocal folds are too weak. It just what they didn't. If you give a man enough rope, he'll hang himself. The thing that scares me is that the curtain was pulled back and the handlers couldn't protect him anymore, right? Like the people that were have always protected him, whether it was the media or his administration, they put him out there and it's like, okay, go to town, here it is. There was nowhere for him to run to. And even in the interim, just watching him, like did you notice that they kept pulling the camera off of Biden last night?
Yes.
Like that was one of the things that they kept doing. They were like, they didn't want people to just look at him because that slack-jawed, vacant stare that he was doing, like they couldn't have that on TV. The whole debate to me also last night seemed to be set up to favor the bias of the left because all the questions were leftist questions that Biden should have probably been like nailed because there were questions about abortion and immigration and climate change.
Childcare.
Right, like all these things were very would have been left friendly, and that would have favored him. But I thought the moderators actually were pretty even-handed in my opinion. But I also think that Biden didn't have to do that last night.
What do you mean he didn't have to do? He didn't have to do
Well, I
what?
mean, he didn't have to do that debate.
He was the one who called for it.
I know. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's the whole thing. It's like he didn't have to do that. And the people that on the inside, they knew Biden was like this. This is not a surprise. It's sort of that thing where like finally everyone recognizes that the emperor has no clothes, and now it's okay for everyone to say that the emperor has no clothes. And that's what really makes me so mad because I know I have so many friends of mine who are centrist and have been expressing concern about the president's state and have been called out on the carpet on social media, and gaslit and told, don't believe what you see. No, he's vital. He's, this empire of lies, right? That we've just been fed about the state of this president. The other thing too is that I am sorry, but I think this is a national security threat to have a president in this state. It's a threat to our national security to have him in this state. It's not good. We should, all of us as Americans, be concerned about the state of the president.
Yeah, we'll get to the issues here in just a moment, Justin, but I invite you to offer your thoughts on how President Trump performed last night.
He was to me, he was very reined in. Like I found that Trump was very, very reined in. He almost didn't have to do anything. And in fact, last night on Twitter, if you looked on what was trending, Trump wasn't trending at all. Everybody was talking about Biden. So in a way, I think Trump played smart because I think he didn't. It's sort of like this idea of upstaging, that we talk about in theater, where like I'm upstaging. He didn't need to upstage Biden at all. Like all he had to do was sort of play really close to the vest and just let Biden expose himself. And I think Trump played really smart last night with that, where he didn't sort of. When Trump's on his game, he's hilarious.
Yeah.
Like he's so funny and he's got the jabs. I think Trump was just last night like, okay, I'm just gonna because the whole lead up to that debate last night was what's going on is how many drugs is Joe Biden gonna be on? Like that's what everybody was talking about. Everybody was going into that debate being like, how jacked up on amphetamines is Joe Biden gonna be tomorrow night? Well, we solved that question. we answered that question because very, very little amphetamine. But I thought.
But there comes a point with drugs, though, is that you get diminishing marginal returns from the cocktails.
Sure. Well, yeah. To me, it was the vacant stare, right?
Yeah.
When Trump would be talking, it would just be the vacant stare into no place, and the slack jaw. right?
We've seen this, Justin. We've seen this in person. I mean, with some of our family members, who are they're experiencing dementia, and they look like they're all like in a state of terror, right?
Yes.
They look afraid, right? Like they don't know where they are.
Yes.
And that is the expression that we saw on Biden's face last night.
Totally. It was just, where am I? What's going on? And again, this is supposed to be, as you say, the leader of the free world. We should all be concerned. And I think the people that Courtney Conover was in the chat this morning. Hi, Courtney. Never met you, girl, but love your quotes.
Yeah, she's funny.
She was talking about like the sort of defense of Biden being like, well, he's not a good debater. And I told her, I said, that's kind of like the battered wife who says, he doesn't hit me hard. Like, there's a point at which you just have to there's a point at which you have to acknowledge reality. We have to acknowledge that truth is okay. It's okay to say the truth. You don't have to be on one side or the other. We can look at truth full in the face and say, this is a concerning situation, no matter what. But we've gotten so tribal, with this right-left bullcrap, that we can't even tell the truth to each other anymore. It's frightening. It's frightening.
Mm-hmm. The frustrating thing about the format of the debate last night was that they really didn't allow for rebuttals as much as they should have, because it seemed like Trump was answering the last question before he answered the current question, because he didn't get a chance to rebut. So I don't know if you all noticed that they like ask him a question and then he would answer the previous question.
Yeah, because
it got so off topic.
Because the way they muted the microphones, he wasn't able to do what he would normally do, which is cut his opponent off, correct them in real time.
Fake news.
Exactly. Yeah. That's a fake. That's
you
a
lie. You'd be in jail.
Dude, it was such a boomer moment when they were like fighting over their golf game, and Trump's like, he couldn't even hit it 50 yards, and he's he's probably right.
Such a penis measuring contest. I was just like, okay, boys, we both know you got huge schlongs.
I think honestly, the muting of the microphone did help Trump, because he is known for interrupting people. And so I think that helped him rein it in even more, because he's like, my hands are tied here. I can't speak, literally. So that helped him.
I also think maybe even to a degree, and I don't know, I'm just conjecturing here, but maybe even Trump was taken aback at the state of Biden.
I thought so too. Yeah, I thought so too. I actually, when I saw a look in his face, it was a look that I had not seen on Trump's face before, and it was one of pity.
Yeah. I mean, because Trump always comes in guns blazing. And I was kind of like, oh, like, Trump is like,
well, it's kind of like, I don't know if you've ever done formal debate or anything in high school, Justin, like forensics, but like one of the sort of unwritten rules is that if you are a man debating against a woman, that you are at a disadvantage, simply for the fact that if you are aggressive towards a woman, then they will see it as you picking on a girl. Right. And so there's probably some truth to it. If you're going against someone like Biden and you're, eviscerating him or lacerating him, it's like, you're engaging in the kind of elder abuse that really, I think his wife, Jill Biden, is the one who is engaging in. If we're going to talk about anybody who is putting him up to it. Did you see how Jill acted after the debate last night? And one, how she had to escort him off the stage, like his walker, and then two, like telling him to his face, "Oh, you answered every question right, darling and dear. And listen, we all want our spouses to support us."
It's like, if you did a bad job, would you want me to tell you?
Not in front of a crowd like that. Don't embarrass yourself by proxy. No, don't embarrass yourself or embarrass me in such a way. Like, no.
Probably stand up for your spouse, even if they did a horrible job, right?
In private, right? He should have just disappeared after the debate and not had a rally and gone anywhere. Because now there's video of him standing after the debate in front of his supporters, like while his wife is like screaming like the Howard Dean scream, right? And he's standing up there, kind of like,
oh, he was there.
I didn't know.
Like, I understand the political machinations of the system. I understand that people have to like do things politically. I understand the media situation. I understand all the backroom deals and all of that. But that's your wife. And I really can't give her any grace when it comes to what she's allowed to happen to her own husband, the person that you're supposed to love the most in the world. And if you are able to stand in the gap for that person and just finally say, you're not doing this to my husband, you're not doing this to my husband. and she has gone along with all of it. I think she is contemptible in what she's done to her husband. I mean, where is your love? Where's your integrity for your husband?
Yeah,
Where's
I'm
your
with you on that.
devotion
I'm
to
with you.
him?
If
And then
he's,
she
oh, sorry.
go ahead.
If he's technically still competent, though, she really has no legal right to tell him what to do. I mean, I don't know how stubborn he is behind the scenes. It could be that he keeps shutting down his wife. Maybe she's like, "Oh, honey, you really need to give it a rest, back down." And maybe he's like, "No, I'm going to do this. Stop telling me what to do." Because really, when people get old, they can get really crotchety.
Oh yeah, they get
And be in
combative.
denial,
Oh, for
like when you
sure.
try to take away their keys to drive.
But the thing is he's public property to a certain extent.
Right.
He doesn't belong to himself. He belongs to us to a large extent. And therefore there's a responsibility to the public that he and the people who are his handlers, of which she is the chief one, have to protect him. And in many ways, protecting him would be to shield him from the kind of embarrassment that he had last night, right? Not to encourage him, not to push him out there, because what she should have done is just after the debate, just been like, all right, we got to go home. We got to get some rest. Got a meeting. Take him away from the stage. Don't get up there and start screaming at the audience and trying to do this rally. He's tired. He needs to go home and go to bed.
Yeah. Because that's when dementia gets worse at nighttime.
Right, sundowning.
Yeah,
And
so
then,
it was
and then she
during the
looked at him,
worst
and
hours.
he was again in that state of suspended animation. And she's like, "You did it!" Like I just felt like I'm watching an elder care home where someone's saying, "You ate all your Jello, yay!" I was like, "Is this where the bar is?
Yeah.
Is this the bar?" And no, but you're right, Austin. I mean, what was the president who was infirm and his wife stepped in?
Woodrow Wilson.
Woodrow Wilson.
Woodrow Wilson had a stroke while he was in office. He was laid up in the White House for about a month. His wife pretended that he was just ill and that he was lucid when he was really in something of a coma. And she actually signed legislation, pretended that he was the one who was signing it. And she used shenanigans to prevent Republicans from entering the White House bedroom to confirm that he was actually infirm. They had a whole Weekend at Bernie's event where she knew that they were coming ahead of time. She got tipped off. So she did this whole propping up of him in bed, putting up a book to make it look like he was reading. Yeah, she was in effect, Edith Wilson was the president of the United States for almost a full 30 days.
That's not okay.
Yeah. So there is a precedent for this kind of thing happening.
We've been here before.
Yeah, but kind of stuff like this, I mean, it's happened in the U.S., but it used to be Soviet leaders. Remember, Brezhnev, when it was kind of the joke that before the Soviet leaders would die, that they would take them out on what was the Hannibal Lecter thing, right? Where it's the wheel, the dolly.
Straight jacket?
Yeah, well, they would wheel, to keep them standing up, right? They would wheel them out. Right. And there were a lot of shenanigans too when it came to JFK's health.
Oh, yes.
But when it came to hiding how sick John F. Kennedy was.
Oh, yeah. He had Addison's disease.
Yeah. Well, when he had a war injury in World War II because his PT boat got bombed by a Japanese submarine, and he actually he was a war hero. He saved many lives that day. But his back was injured, really bad back injury, which plagued him for years. And they used to have to swaddle him and swaddle him up and carry him from location to location because he was unable to walk or stand up or sit up straight. And there was it was one of the reasons why he probably was killed on that day, because when you we saw his car in Detroit, he was sitting up straight. What they would do is in the presidential limo, they would use a brace, just like a neck brace for his back so he could sit up straight. Right. So he was unable, after he had gotten shot through the throat, he might have survived if after the first shot, he was able to throw himself down at the bottom of the limo. But because he was unable to bend over, he got shot in the throat. And then grabbed his throat like this and just leaned over a little bit.
Oh my
And that's
gosh.
how they got the, Oswald got the clear shot to his brain. And it was Oswald from the third floor depository acting alone with a Carcano Italian rifle. Let's not hear it from the conspirators today.
Oh no, here they come. They're
Yeah.
typing. I can hear them typing right now.
I
It's
know,
amazing.
I know. It was LBJ. It was the Secret Service agent from the back of the car who shot him with a pistol.
It was Jane Mansfield in the back of the car. Yeah. It was Marilyn Monroe.
It was Marilyn Monroe, yes.
And physically speaking, it's interesting to note too that at the debate, Trump and Biden did not shake hands. It's usually
Yes.
customary for them to shake hands,
Good
but
point.
it seems
Well,
like because
yeah.
Biden was just so physically unable to move very far, he probably couldn't have even shook his hand.
Mm-hmm.
They did that with COVID though. That was like a sort of a standard that they developed in COVID.
Wow.
So maybe they're just holding it over from COVID.
I'm sure that's the excuse.
That's called me giving grace.
Justin, did you
He
happen?
did have a cold, so maybe he didn't want to spread his cold.
Justin,
There
did
you
you
go.
happen to see any of the interference that many of the people were running last night, like, or just some of the the post debate reactions from like MSNBC, where like many of them weren't even running interference anymore. Many of them were
No.
saying this is really bad, like Van Jones and others.
The thing that you feel when finally people acknowledge the truth is a sense of relief. Like I was saying about being gaslit. Like when
Yes.
you've been gaslit for so long and then finally people start to say, oh no, it's bad, it's not good, it's bad. It's a sense of you feel validated, right? I hate that word,
Yeah.
but like
Yeah, it's
that's the
true.
first one. But you do, you feel justified. You're like, oh, vindicated. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm not crazy. We're living in a society that has made us all collectively insane. Mass psychosis, right, is just a real thing. And to finally have the people that are, the top sort of fawning brass, right, over this administration, to be able for them to say, this is bad, this is really bad, it's bad. It's sort of like, thank you. Thank you for finally seeing what I have seen. And my friend Kara, she has years ago wrote about her concerns, and she was treated terribly and gaslit. And so finally for these people to finally say, yeah, it's bad, it's not good. It's a relief, honestly. It's a relief that finally people are seeing reality full in the face. But
And
like
I
when I
think
saw, sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think I'm past the point of laughing at Biden.
Oh, no, yeah.
I'm embarrassed for him and I feel bad for him. I just can't even imagine having that happen in front of so many people. It's just terrible. So it's like, I'm done making fun of him.
Oh,
At this
yeah.
point,
it's over
I
at this
feel
point.
bad.
Yeah, he's just a suit. He's a suit. I mean, that's all kind of he is, and it's a shame. Because I feel like 10 years ago, I thought just Biden was goofy. I kind of that was my take on Biden from 10 years ago. Like, Barack Obama's president, and Joe Biden's just like,
Right.
and you're just kind of like, there's something charming about him. You know what I mean? There was something kind of like, oh, like your silly old uncle who's just being silly, and you're like, oh, Joe, because they even called him Uncle Joe. Wasn't that the
Yeah.
thing
Yes.
everyone was calling him? And there was something playful about him, and there was something silly about him. But like you've said, yeah, now it's beyond mockery. It's now concern, and we should all be concerned. That the
Yeah.
state of our president is this way.
If you're just tuning into the Wake Up America show, good morning. I'm your host, Austin Peterson. We're glad and thankful to have you here. We have over 2,000 people watching us live over on X.com, and we're grateful to have you. I imagine that for many of you, most of you, it's your first time watching the Wake Up America show. If so, we're glad to have you here, and we hope that you'll join us for our regular show schedule. We are live every Monday through Friday from 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time here on the Wake Up America show. It's a 2-hour tour de force of economic freedom and personal liberty. You can get all the news you can use. We also have a lot of fun, and I bring on the absolute best, top-notch guests to keep you informed about what's happening in the world, to excite and entertain and titillate. On Fridays, we call it Freedom Family Friday. That's when my smoking hot redheaded libertarian wifey, Steffi, joins us on the show, and we're glad to have her here.
Thank you.
Yes, my brother, Justin Peterson, joins us as well for what we call Freedom Family Fridays. And Justin Peterson is here with us live from Boston. We are all Petersons, S-E-N. We are all family, as opposed to people who are confused when Camelia was on yesterday and she's an O-N Peterson and we are E-N Petersons. We are the Peterson family, and we love freedom and we love our country, and that's why we all stick together, and we're here with for each other through thick and thin. And I'm a former presidential candidate, U.S. Senate candidate, failed twice. My wife Stephanie met me during the Senate campaign. She was my #1 volunteer. Nobody's loved me ever in my life, perhaps as much as Stephanie has.
When I first discovered you during that John Stossel debate on television.
Yep, I did.
Talking about debates.
I did make all the presidential debates, and I won every single one. But like Vietnam, I lost the war. So won every battle, lost the war. But my brother Justin Peterson has had a red pill moment in the last few years. COVID-19 really woke him up to the true nature of the progressive left and where they're taking our country. So our conversations between the three of us, two libertarians and a used to be liberal, now on the right side, just because by standing still, he's managed to become a right winger. And these kinds of conversations are ones that you can only hear on this Wake Up America show. So do follow us and join us again Monday morning, 7 a.m., right back here on the Freedom Watch. Okay, we're talking about the debate last night. We're giving you a little bit of a refresher where we're at. Justin, I'd like to talk about some of the claims that were made, the substantive political claims that were made, specifically the one that Joe Biden had made that Donald Trump called Nazis very fine people. Are you familiar with the context of this?
Yeah, the Charlottesville situation. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Do you want me to sort of fill us in, or can you do so? Do you know what?
No,
the situation?
you go ahead. I mean, I know that the Snopes thing has been the talk of this past week. Where they finally got around to saying, yeah, he didn't actually say that.
Right. So Charlottesville occurred because they were taking down the Confederate statue of Robert E. Lee in Charlottesville, Virginia. And there were three groups of people who were there for that event. There were protesters who were in favor of taking the monument down. There were protesters who were against taking the monument down. And then there were neo-Nazis and white supremacists who were there to cause trouble and to make problems. But there were agitators on the left side, the pro take the statue down as well, like Antifa type people with black masks and stuff. It was someone was killed actually on the street in a car accident that occurred. Yes. And it was also the famous event where you had all of the incel boys with their tiki torches. The Jews will not replace us.
I think I remember that.
Steffi will not replace us.
Laura Loomer reporting from there.
I think she was reporting from there, yeah. But and she's Jewish. But so the incident occurred, and the next day Donald Trump said that there were very fine people on both sides, and then he continued on and said specifically not the white supremacists, not the Nazis. I actually have the clip right here. It's 30 seconds. Let's take a listen to it right now.
Very bad people in that group. But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides. You had people in that group, excuse me, I saw the same pictures as you did. You had people in that group that were there to protest the taking down of, to them, a very, very important statue and the renaming of a park from Robert E. Lee to another name. And you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists.
He was very specific.
Oh, yeah. He clarified that.
He was. But Joe Biden repeated the lie last night that he was calling Nazis very fine people. Justin, do you think he doesn't know, or do you think that this is deliberate?
Who knows? He also lied about people not dying under his watch. Hello?
Oh, soldiers, yes.
I think his campaign team prepared him horribly for this. I mean, they were obviously feeding him these facts, quote unquote. I don't think he's the one who did all the research for this debate.
No, but I mean, it was.
And also,
go ahead.
The media, we would hope, would be able to say, actually, Mr. President, that's been debunked. That's actually not true, Mr. President.
Yeah, why didn't CNN see that?
Nobody holds anybody to account anymore. Nobody holds anybody to account. It's terrible.
It was funny. I was
I sound
watching.
like an old man. It's terrible. It's
no,
terrible.
I was watching some of the ABC News afterwards and stuff, and like their main anchor, who is typically supposed to be just like a reporter, not like an op-ed guy, is like Joe Biden was unable to respond to lie after lie from Donald Trump, and it was just kind of like, bro, you are supposed to be. I remember when I was a kid, Justin, we would watch ABC News. I really thought that the news was real. I remember.
Yeah.
Do you remember when you thought the news was real?
Yes.
When you would watch CBS, ABC, 2020, and you thought to yourself, "Oh, this is what's going on in the world. This is how you stay informed about things." I don't know what happened, when it happened. Maybe it always was this
news,
way.
Austin. Cable
was
news.
it cable news? Yeah.
Cable
Oh,
news. It was cable news.
Yeah, when it happened for me, I was in high school, and in one of my classes, we watched Outfoxed. And so this was in the early 2000s, and that was the first time I realized there was bias in the media. I didn't know that before.
Well, it used to be you had what? ABC, CBS, and NBC. They were loss leaders. So, in other words, they made no money. There was no corporate affiliation with news. That's another problem. Money behind corporate interest in news is a bad idea. And there was no editorializing on the news. It was like, and it's a funny, I'm a bit of a historical Hollywood kind of guy, so I love old Hollywood stuff. And there's an interview in 1970s where Joan Crawford is being asked about being in politics. And she gives a brilliant answer, which today we would call based. But she, as a famous person, says, I don't think it's our job as celebrities to tell people what to think. And then she talks about Walter Cronkite. And she says, Walter Cronkite, I watch him on the news. He tells you what the news is. You take it how you want, but he doesn't editorialize it. He just tells you the facts of what's going on. And that's how news used to be. And, I can even remember watching, now this is going to really date me, but I remember watching Jessica Savage in the 80s on like those news break-ins. They would break in on television, right? Just like I don't know, like at 3 o'clock or, they would just go, hey, on NBC News, and it would just be like, oh, da, da, and then you get like a little snippet of a news report that would probably be like maybe a minute or two long. But it was just like, here's what's going on in the news. But yeah, no, I mean, when you lose trust in this is where we're at. When you've lost trust in the major institutions of the society and the culture, you're in a really bad place. And that's where a lot of us are. We cannot trust the media at all. Right or left. Right or left. Okay? So like I'm a person who now I look at everything in the media and I say it's all lies. In other words, if I started from the premise that they're all lying, how would I get to truth? If I start, if I accept they're lying first as a first premise, that's probably a much more healthy place to start today than it would be to say, oh, they're telling me the truth. I don't accept that anymore. Now I believe that they're all lying. And I'm like, okay, now how would I go about finding out what was really true?
Yeah, exactly.
So Justin, back to the debate itself. Do you think that they replaced Joe Biden?
If I was in my conspiracy mind, there's a part of me that's like, I feel like this was a deliberate hit job on Biden to get him out of the race because the insiders in this political culture knew it was like this. They like I said before, they didn't have to create a debate, and they didn't have to show up or do this very early like this. I think they took Biden down the river and shot him. I mean, I really feel like the Democrats took him down the river and shot him. So that the insiders, right, can get his successor for the fall campaign, and I feel like this is probably something that's been for a while. If I'm in my conspiracy, I'm in my tinfoil hat moment. I think
it was a way for them to wake everybody up and to finally show to the public what is really happening to Joe Biden.
I just don't accept that people are like behind the scenes going like whatever. Like there's too much million goes on in Washington D.C. Too much bull crap that happens for them not to feel like we got to get in. Like the elite, right? The high end elite that run the show are definitely going behind the scenes to figure this out. But again, I cannot look at the Project Melt last night as an intentional act of sabotage.
Interesting. I wonder what our audience thinks. You can text the show. Let us know what's on your mind at 573-319-1586. Again, the text lines are open, and you can send us a text at 573-319-1586. We got about 25 more minutes left to go on the Wake Up America show, and we appreciate all of the public support that we're receiving this morning with over 2,000 people joining us live on X. There's even 400 people hanging out waiting for the show over on rumble.com. Yikes.
They're just looking at
I feel bad. I know the thumbnail screen. Unfortunately, I think Rumble had some tech stuff happen because they got their servers got destroyed last night from all of the traffic. And so there was a bit of a glitch that prevented us from getting it to Rumble. So we're on YouTube and we're on X, but on Monday we take all of our forces and we push it back over to Rumble because we want to support them because they support us.
Of course. I really would be interested to see how this is going to affect RFK Jr.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
He had his own little debate last night. I didn't watch any of it personally, but I wonder how many Democrats are going to come to his side now and how this is going to impact the polls.
Can I tell you, and I don't want to like necessarily change the subject too much. Can I tell you that I didn't know this yet until yesterday, and I still am digging into the details on it. But did you know that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. had a wife that committed suicide?
No, I didn't know that.
Did you know this, Justin? Okay, so this is just the preliminary research that I've done in the last 24 hours. So Robert F. Kennedy Jr. had a wife who apparently they had a very tumultuous relationship with.
Oh.
And it is alleged that he was pressuring her to kill herself. And that eventually, when she did kill herself, she was found by her daughter in a barn and on their property. And apparently, his deceased wife had her fingers underneath the rope that was around her neck, indicating that there was some regret.
Yeah, usually when people do commit suicide, I learned this in social work school. I don't know how they get this statistic, but most people do regret finishing their suicide.
Well, how do they know that they regret finishing their suicide without
no idea?
Because you can't ask them, right?
I have no idea. But I think a lot of people, like in the moment when they're going through it, I think they have a oh crap moment and they realize
there's a moment of clarity, right?
Uh-huh.
So, but they apparently when they found her, she had like her,
so it could
fingers
have been
underneath
either
it.
somebody was trying to hurt her or she regretted it in the moment. Who knows?
The speculation that I was reading was, or the allegation was, that he drove her to that he was horrible, abusive, and drove her and told her to kill herself. And because remember, he was having multiple affairs. Remember, and because he's not married.
I didn't know that.
He was having multiple affairs, and one of them was with Cheryl Hines, his current wife.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know his past
From
and relationships.
Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Oh,
you know her?
Yes, she's cute.
So there's
goodness.
So I mean, if R.F. Kennedy Jr. Were to become a threat, I think that some of the darker elements of his past would come out, and maybe this is a sign that he is a threat. Because I mean, you know what the real problem is, Justin, on the RFK factor is that it's Democrats, like mainstream Democrats, they don't like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. They hate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Just from a political perspective, I feel like more conservatives would vote for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. than Democrats, because Democrats, first of all, he's an anti-vaxxer type, right? He's not an anti-vaxxer, and all this. He denies it. Okay, that's fine, but okay. I mean, he's seen by the Democrats, we'll say, as an anti-vaxxer. He is seen as a party splitter. Right, that he was running in the Democratic primary and then he quit. And now he's harming the Democrat ticket. They see him as a lunatic when it comes to many of his claims on COVID, like the racial bias that COVID has, and some of these other comments. So we asked your sister; she thinks he's a kook, a loon. So I don't know that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. really snaps up a lot of Democrat votes. And for the progressive leftists who hate Israel, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is not your candidate. He's pro-Israel.
Yeah,
so
Trump is pro-Israel. He's pro-Israel.
Right. So if you really hate Israel, or if you really hate the Jews, you got to vote for the Libertarian. That's the anti-Semite ticket for you right there. So
because even Biden is pro-Israel in a way. He's sending funding there.
Well, to an extent. I mean, the funny thing is, and Trump brought this up in the debate last night. He's like Joe is of two faces when it comes to Israel, because in one sense he's threatening them from pulling their funds, and the other one he's funding them. And it's because I think so many young Democrats are so anti-Israel that he's trying to keep his young people in his party, but the young people are like, no, we don't like Israel, and we think they're committing a genocide. They call him Genocide Joe.
Yeah.
So where do the Genocide Joe voters go in this election? Justin, any idea? Where do Genocide Joe voters go?
Gaza.
Yeah, moving to Canada.
Go to Gaza, yes.
Go to Gaza. That's where you should go.
Yes. Go to Gaza.
It's interesting that Trump said that this whole Gaza issue wouldn't have even happened if he were president.
I agree.
Because he said that he basically made Iran so poor during his presidency, they wouldn't have money to create terror.
He had bankrupted Iran to such an extent that there would not have been money for them to finance this. I actually agree with Trump. I believe that it's true that if Trump had been the president, that Russia would not have been emboldened to attack Ukraine. He made Donald Trump said last night that Vladimir Putin took one look at how Joe Biden sloppily withdrew from Afghanistan, got a lot of people killed pulling out of Afghanistan, and Putin goes, "Oh, they're not going to do anything. These people don't have their ish together." And so he felt emboldened to attack Ukraine because of the weakness of Joe Biden. I completely agree with Donald Trump on that. As a matter of fact, I believe Donald Trump's the strongest argument for Trump is his foreign policy and having the United States be respected. Maybe not loved, right? Like, I don't know that there's any time in the near future, and Justin, I think you'll probably speak to this very well. I don't know that there's any time in the near future, absent a sweeping rally of Marine Le Pen and a win of right-wing parties across Europe. But I don't see foreign countries loving the United States the way that they used to love us in the 1980s anytime soon. So if they're not going to love us, we probably need to make them fear us.
Ooh, Machiavelli.
I mean, is that not the case? I mean, like, you know, if we're talking about opponents around the world, if they don't like us, if they're not going to like us and they're not going to love us, we'd probably better make them respect us.
Yeah.
I mean, I
don't need someone to love me, but they damn sure better respect me. And one of the best ways to get respect is to make them afraid of you.
Yeah, but if I think you see also too that and this is the part of the show where my mic goes off, so I apologize.
Here it is.
My microphone.
Okay.
But I sound great to myself, so
yes,
I can hear you.
The idea, though, that I find so disconcerting is that, you know, we're really in a war in the West. This is what Douglas Murray has written about a lot. It's like, it's not just America. It's that these ideas that are coming at everybody are attacking. You know, when America, what's the joke that when America sneezes, the world catches a cold?
Yeah.
You know, the idea that like the stuff, these terrible ideas that we've exported, you know, this denial of Western civilization, you know, seeing it as some sort of a supremacist, oppressive culture that we have to dismantle and we have to decolonize. This is coming for all of the Western countries. So it's not just in America. You know, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but the major thing that nobody talked about last night was the national debt. That is the number one issue in our country right now. We're all being lambasted with these stupid cultural issues that are so beyond dumb that we're all fighting with each other, not looking at what's going on with the trillions and trillions of dollars of debt that this nation is in. If that debt doesn't get solved, we're in a bad way, and we won't have a culture because we'll all be fighting over piss and rubble.
That's why they make lesbian Star Wars baby born of the Force, so that they can get us fighting and distracted, so we're not talking about those issues. Because let's be honest, the real problems that we face, the issue is that it's boring, it's not interesting, and people don't understand it. I mean, it's kind of like one of the number one issues that libertarians always harp is why we need to abolish the central banks, the Federal Reserve System. And it's like the least interesting topic that you could ever imagine, but it's probably one of the most crucial debates that we've ever had in American history. We've had 3 central banks in American history. It's I think one of the more fascinating questions, but people they don't think about money, and they don't think that, you know, they just think about getting their paycheck every 2 weeks, and, you know, can they afford to buy a boat this year or not? Can they afford to put food on the table or not? They're not thinking about these bigger picture problems. And listen, when you live in a democracy, the representatives who are here only 2 to 6 years, or presidents who are there 4 to 8 years, like, they have no interest in the long-term legacy of the United States. They have no interest in a democratic republic in the sense that the United States is set up. It's not like a monarchy where a king or a queen says, for the glory of my empire, for the glory of my country, I'm thinking in the long term because I'm thinking about my destiny and of my children and their legacy and their ownership and rulership over this. It's when you think about something as your private property, then you take good care of it. When you think of something as public property and everybody owns it, then no one owns it. The tragedy of the commons.
That's the tragedy of the commons. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah,
no,
go on.
Sorry. I can never see Stephanie, so I never
right.
can know when she's going to talk.
That's
So
okay.
I'm always
Go ahead,
feeling like
Justin,
I'm
go ahead.
interrupting. No, I was just going to say that, you know, bread and circuses, right? I mean, this is the whole Roman idea of bread and circuses. You keep if the people can eat and they are entertained, you know, you'll keep them asleep. But the other thing is that, you know, nothing matters in a civilization if it collapses. We won't be fighting over these stupid, like, petty issues. Like, the national debt is a serious problem. And I'm really resentful of the fact that I have to keep my P's and Q's going all in one direction for my budget, but the federal government can just go hog wild and just literally print money out of thin air. And I'm like, if they can print money out of thin air, why am I paying taxes?
I think
Like, if they can just make money.
they did touch on money subjects. I remember them talking a lot about inflation. And Trump was like, inflation, did not go up with me. There was no inflation when I was in office. So they were talking about that. I think they did touch upon the debt a little bit. They talked a lot about
the CNN anchor brought it up only as a rejoinder to Donald Trump's comments about the state of the economy, where he cut taxes. So when Trump said that he gave us the biggest tax cut, the CNN, of course, flared up and were like, "Well, yeah, but the deficit has blown up.
Yeah,
you blow up the deficit and increase the national debt. How do you intend to pay down the national debt when you're cutting taxes?"
Right.
But I mean, it's like Democrats have never heard of the Laffer curve, and I wish that Donald Trump had just kind of like said Laffer curve, but I mean, he kind of explained it. And you know what the Laffer curve is, Stephanie?
No, most of America probably would
Justin,
have no
do you know
idea.
what the Laffer curve is?
Is that afuera?
No, so it's sort of the Laffer curve. It was created by Art Laffer in the 1970s or 80s. It's a way to explain about how to find the optimal tax rates, and because if you tax the people at 100%, then how much tax revenue do you get? Zero. Right? If you tax 0%, you get zero. If you tax 100%, you're going to get zero. Somewhere in between these two numbers is the optimal tax rate. Because if you take everything that everybody has, then everybody will be broke, and then you won't get any tax revenue. Right? If you tax everybody at 100%, the amount of income that the government will take in will be zero, because once you've confiscated absolutely everything everyone has, they have no more money, then no more taxes are going to come in.
Right. And Biden was talking about how he wants to tax people who make, I believe, $400,000 and more. He wants to tax the rich. He definitely talked about that last
was
night.
to fleece the wealthy and make them pay their fair share, which is a talking point.
Fair share. I hate when they say that.
Well, it's a talking point. It's not an economic point, because you could take everything that the wealthy have and all of the 100 billionaires that he was talking, 1,000 billionaires.
First he said trillion. He said billionaires, and then he's like, oh, trillionaires.
No, he said 1,000 trillionaires, and then he said billionaires, or 1,000 billionaires in the United States. He says, make them pay their fair share. You could confiscate all of the wealth from all of those 1,000 billionaires, and it would still not run the federal government for something like more than a month.
Wow.
No, it's 6 months. Yeah,
6 months?
I think the study was that you took the money, the Forbes 500 or Forbes 100 or whatever it was, and if you were to, let's say, confiscate their wealth, take all of their money, liquidate it, which is not how their money is held anyway, right? They're not just sitting in bank accounts.
Like, it's not like Scrooge McDuck where they got gold coins in a bank.
That's a dumb person's idea of how rich people have their money.
Yes.
Liquidate all of that money into cash. Okay, and the government would take that money. Okay, so now that person is now destitute. Okay, it would take the government 6 months to blow through all of the money that they had taken from all of the wealthiest people in the United States. 6 months. That's how bad the government spending is. That it would take only 6 months for the government to blow through that money. We never talk about, like, government spending is just like the ugly stepchild at the wedding that no one wants to look at.
It's terrible.
At some point, we have to acknowledge the fiscal, responsibility that we have to our, our money, our taxation money. I mean, we had a revolution for less than this. We had a revolution for less than this.
Yeah, and Biden, they focused a lot on the Black and Hispanic communities and how they're going to help them. And Biden kept talking about all the programs he's going to have for, like, Black colleges to make sure that they can get into tech and childcare programs. So it's like, again, more spending. Here we go. Where's the money coming from?
Yeah, and pandering. I just hate the pandering. Yeah, but it's just like, at this point now in my life, I have a heuristic, and a heuristic is like a shortcut, and my shortcut now is, when I vote on things, I say to myself, does this increase or decrease the size of government?
Yeah.
And if it increases it, I always vote against it. I'm like, at this stage, because I'm just like, nope, not voting for that.
Hmm.
And it's like more government programs and more taxation. I mean, like literally, you and I, Austin, we're in private business. So like when I pay estimated taxes,
Yeah.
and it's like, here's the other thing. Small businesses feel the ouch of taxation much more than the average person that works in an office all day
Yes.
and goes
We
into their
feel
little
it.
job and does their little thing and is like, oh, I know. And they're like, well, we should pay taxes because you're never feeling the real pinch of looking at that check and going, wow, there goes $2,000. There goes $3,000. There goes $4,000.
Justin.
They don't
Oh,
feel
yeah.
the ouch.
We actually, in a strange twist of fate, we actually have Milton Friedman to blame for that because he was the one who came up with the concept of withholding when he was a young man working in the Treasury. So now people that are wage, I won't say slaves, but wage workers.
Well, they're not wage slaves; they're debt slaves.
They're debt
they don't
slaves.
even work for wages; they're debt slaves.
Yeah. Well, they get their withholding every 2 weeks out of their taken out of their paycheck, so they don't even see the money. So then they never think about it. But the minute you start a business, the minute you try and work your way out of poverty, the government comes down on you like a ton of bricks. Like not only are we paying our quarterly taxes, but because because of the way our business is structured, we do sales. We have to collect sales taxes and remit those sales taxes quarterly or annually. Sales and use taxes, and then there's an economic nexus that occurs when you make a certain amount of sales in another state. Not only do we have to do the state and file and pay for the payroll of Missouri taxes, but we have economic nexus in or New York or California or Louisiana or all these things. So it's not just the federal government that comes for you. All the 50 states government as well. If you dare to do business within their territories, and then we dared, Stephanie, how dare we hire an employee? Not only are we forced to pay for workers' comp in case our employee breaks his nail at his laptop and needs to seek treatment for that, which it might as well just be a tax, right? But you're forced to pay it to an insurance company. But then we also have to pay the payroll taxes for that employee as well, which is what it costs to hire the employee. So whenever you think, I want to hire an employee, do you make double the amount that the employee will cost you in terms of salary, because you have to pay double what it is in order to hire them? The sales taxes, the payroll taxes, the quarterly taxes, the income taxes, the state taxes, the nexus taxes, the government. And here's the thing, the big corporations, the ones who are rich, they want this system. They love it.
Yes.
They pay big money. It's like I was, when I was fighting with the Ron DeSantis people on X the last few days about the lab-grown meat ban in Florida. Like I call this, it used to be Baptists and bootleggers. Now it's cronies and conspiratards. They prey on the feeble-minded, the conspiracy-minded on this lab-grown meat thing, just like it used to be leftists who were freaking out about genetically modified organisms, food and weed and stuff. Now the right has adopted leftist crunchy granola conspiracy theories about lab-grown meat. And so Ron DeSantis says, oh, I'm protecting you from scary meat that's grown in a laboratory. Let's not remind you that like the beef that is, it's grown on farms, but it's pretty labby when it's the way that it's made and processed. But anyways, when he signed that bill, he was there with all the big agricultural, all the big ag, like all the major corporations, to protect them from competition from a new way to feed people, essentially.
Get this. Do you remember the food pyramid we had learned in school?
Oh yes, we were just talking about this morning.
Because
listen to this. This is a funny story.
We've been drinking a lot more milk and eating more cheese and things. And so I actually looked up last night, how much milk can you have a day? And so I was like, USDA says you can have 3 cups of milk a day. That's their suggested amount. And so Austin and I were just talking about the food pyramid today and how it's really not reliable in terms of health.
Do you remember when you said, because what it was, you came to me and you go, you're all sweet, and you're like, Austin, did you know that the USDA says that you should drink 3 cups of milk a day? And I go, yeah, I'm pretty sure the dairy industry pays them to say that.
And I was so let down because I love milk.
Yeah, the food pyramid was the same situation.
The food pyramid was paid for by the grain lobbyists.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the food pyramid, the old one, Guess what was at the bottom? We were supposed to eat the most of
Cereal?
grains.
Oh, yeah.
Cereals and grains, yeah.
Cereals, grains. Get as much cereal as you can eat.
Cornflakes.
Now that had
Apple
nothing to do
Jacks
with
is
health.
part of a healthy breakfast.
Right.
Had nothing to do with health. And now we know carbohydrates make you fat.
Yeah.
Carbohydrates make you fat. And so that, there is just nothing healthy about eating 8 to 10 servings of carbohydrate a day.
Well,
no wonder everyone.
But I mean, Justin, just think about how many liberals out there would like look at something from the USDA and be like, it's the government, it's the USDA. Like the USDA says, drink 3 glasses of milk a day, and they believe it. Because it's
a few hours.
Well, it's the science,
yeah.
Right? And then it's like, just like when it comes to the media, who do you trust? Nobody. I don't trust almost anybody.
Have you heard about this guy Lysenko?
Mm-mm.
Did you hear about Lysenko in the Russian during the I think it's the Russian Revolution or somewhere around there? This guy named Lysenko. I can't remember his first name, but he basically had this weird idea about nature. That like he thought if we just do nature in a certain way, it will be great. And it was all politically driven, right? So it was this political idea about like the food pyramid. It's sort of like you're pushing these political ideas ahead of like actual science and actual knowledge. And all of the crops in Russia were like destroyed, and millions of people died because of this guy's bad, takes on science and grain development. It's Lysenkoism. It's this idea that you're going to do something politically rather than looking at something scientifically, and people die. And I feel like whenever I see the food pyramid, I'm like, yeah, that's kind of a Lysenkoism. Like there's nothing honest about it. It's always been driven by these lobbyists and by these, multinational corporations that want to, spend all of their money. Well, here, just eat carbs. It's literally bread in circuses. It's literally bread in circuses.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're eating bread all the time. And I love bread.
Oh,
But,
we
I
do
mean,
too. And we noticed
I've
this
had to
as
go
we're
to keto
driving
bread.
by the soy company here in Jefferson City, all the signs they put out for the different political candidates. You can see very well they're very much in bed with the politicians.
Oh yeah. So the food pyramid is always to me one of the laughable situations, which now we know from people who really study the stuff.
Mhm.
There's this guy Gary Taubes who wrote this book called Why We Get Fat, and that's kind of where my awakening was with the food pyramid. He wrote a really great book called Why We Get Fat. I definitely recommend it. But it's basically saying stop eating so many carbohydrates. It's not good for you. If you want to eat carbs, eat greens, eat broccoli, eat salad, eat anything like that. Like it's good stuff. Cauliflower, any of those good things.
You're such a good model.
Thanks, Justin.
For eating
Appreciate
right.
that. Well, he does look pretty healthy.
Oh, he does.
2 weeks into my diet, and I'm absolutely miserable. But
what are you eating?
Well, now we've flipped over to protein shakes because I realize how freaking hard it is to get good protein. Like, so I'm working on my macros, right? Where it's like, 30, 30, 30 to a large extent. So, so we've introduced protein shakes into the mix to try and help me to suppress my appetite a little bit. But otherwise, I just eat what I like, but I just eat smaller amounts of it. I just control the portions. Like today, for example, we always have a habit of my favorite thing in the world is the bacon egg or it's the steak, egg, and cheese bagel from McDonald's. And so instead of getting a steak, egg, and cheese bagel at McDonald's, 2 hash browns and a large Sprite, I'll get a steak, egg, and cheese bagel, a hash brown, and then drink water, right? And so, and then for lunch, I'll just have a protein shake. And then by the time dinner, if I exercise, I get more calories. That's the thing is like, that's why I love to exercise because I'll be like, okay, now I've actually earned more calories. You don't get a lot, but you can at least like eat a more full, bigger meal. So at this point now, I eat what I like, except I am replacing some with protein shakes. No sodas at all. Alcohol is like almost completely out of my diet now, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So we eat a lot of veggies and fruits.
Oh my gosh, we have so much produce in our house.
Yeah, a lot of cottage
Also,
cheese.
intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting is the bomb.
Everyone talks
really
about
is.
that.
Mm-hmm.
I've never tried it. I do it naturally.
I do. I love it. If I have a day where I'm like, you know what, I went hog wild. Maybe the next day I say, you know what, I'm only going to eat one meal today. I'm just going to have like maybe a nice lunch, or a nice break. But that's how kind of I do it. That way, if you want to eat like whatever you want that day, you're like, you know what, I want to eat that thing. Great, you eat it, and then you have that one meal, and you say, okay, that's the one meal I'm going to get for today. But yeah, intermittent fasting is a really great way to help that too.
All right. Well, we got to run, Justin. It's the end of the show. It's been a great show as usual. Thanks so much for joining us. We've had a huge audience over on X. And sorry about rumble.com for those who typically watch us. I know many were over there on YouTube. Justin, I'm about to write you a check or send you a Venmo today because the check has cleared for you to launch your own new show. And I owe you money to start it. So I will be hitting you up later to like Venmo you the cash from that everybody had donated to you.
I just thinking about that. I'm just really so touched by people's generosity. It's always humbling to see how kind people are. And you don't take it for granted. And because I know how hard I work for my money. And so I always respect other people's money too.
Well, I completely agree. Our audience has been insanely generous to us in the last couple of years. We've made so many new friends, and people like Andy Opperman and Camellia and Courtney Conover, people who are like monthly subscribers. And Andy's given us a lot of money. And people go to our shop and they buy lots of stuff at our shop. I think Andy made a big purchase earlier today as well. So without people like that, we wouldn't be able to do this. There would not be a Wake Up America show without people like Andy.
The thing that I learned as a business owner, I have to tell you, one of the things that I have had to break in myself is don't tell yourself stories about other people's money. And by that I mean, I come at this from like, a lack sort of where I'm like, oh, don't pay me for that, or don't give me that. It's like, that's me telling myself a story about somebody else's money. Like, oh, they won't be able to afford that, or they won't be able to pay for that. And I've learned in my life that if, like, for example, with my prices with my teaching, it's like, if I just say, here's the price, people pay the price. Like, they either pay it or they don't. But, when I tell myself stories about like, oh, they're not going to pay my rates, it's so expensive, that's me limiting myself and telling myself a story for them. I'm making a decision about their money. That's not my decision to make.
Justin, we gotta let you go. We love you. Have a wonderful day. We appreciate you. And we will see you again next Friday, same time, right here on the Wake Up America show. You have a great weekend.
Hey, happy Friday.
Love you much. Happy Friday. I want to let Justin go. I'm going to pause here for just a moment because we do have a little bit of a breaking news item for our sort of audience and who they are.
Really?
Yeah, I don't like to end the show on a down note, but I don't think I have a choice.
A down note?
Yeah, we've got a little bit of sad news for one of our biggest friends of freedom, and that is that unfortunately it appears as if Thomas Massie's wife has died yesterday.
Oh my God.
Congressman Thomas Massie, one of the biggest friends of liberty, posted this on X this morning at 8:47 a.m. Says, yesterday, my high school sweetheart, the love of my life for over 35 years, the loving mother of our 4 children, the smartest, kindest woman I ever knew, my beautiful and wise queen forever, Rhonda went to heaven. Thank you for your prayers in this difficult time. So it looks as if Thomas Massie's wife has passed away. I've got the pictures pulled up on the screen there from his tweet. You can see.
Was she sick?
Yeah,
I don't know anything about that. I just know he's, been moving and shaking in the political world, but I had no idea personally what was happening.
Yeah,
Oh, that's a shocker.
I'm sure we will find out at some point. But obviously I think that, it could be interesting, but this is very sad news for one of the biggest friends of liberty. And I just wanted to just let people know, if you're a big fan of Thomas Massie, and I think we probably all are, that it might be a good idea to send him some condolences today. So
Absolutely. Oh my God. You know how it is to lose a mother at a young age. I would imagine she's probably in her 40s or
got several
50s
kids,
herself.
She was valedictorian at our high school where we went to the prom together, accepted at MIT and Harvard, earned a mechanical engineering degree from MIT, and devoted her life to our family. He says we spent last week touring Mount Rainier with our grandson. She was the best mama ever. We love you, Rhonda.
So she was still very active last week. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's
Ooh.
could be anything, car accident or something like that, or
Something sudden.
yeah,
Oh
for
my
all we
God.
know. But I just, when something that momentous happens in our world, Liberty world, we probably wanted to capture that and
Yeah.
let them know.
We certainly had some great losses among our political friends recently. Baker,
Ben Baker.
Ben Baker. Yeah, his family. It's like, how do you keep going? Because it's campaign season. So it's like, how do you keep trucking?
Yeah, it's true.
When life is happening? I can't even imagine how much strength that takes
Yep.
for Thomas and Ben Baker and anybody else who's been going through a hard time.
You and I, we live almost in a fantasy world, like a dream
Mm-hmm.
world, because we're so happy and healthy, and our dogs are healthy, and hey, our unborn baby is so far very healthy, and knock on wood. But I mean, it's it can change in a moment.
Oh, it can for anybody, and so I think we all have to expect that and know that and just make the most of every single day. And like you do, you've taught me this, is to say I love you to the people who are close to you and make sure you let them know that. I'm not very good at doing that myself, but I definitely am inspired from seeing how you interact with others and really show them you care a lot, because there might not be a next time.
Yep. Hug your loved ones as close to each other as you can. Spend some time together this weekend. Call your in-laws, or the people that you care about. Tell them I love you. That was the thing that the conversation of your mom. Your mother was not big on saying I love you.
Oh no, we weren't a family to do that.
I remember when the last time I think she was here, maybe time before last, she was like walking out the door, and I said I love you to her. And she was, I remember I hear her kind of like whispering under her breath to some extent. She was like, he said, I love you to me, or something like that. And because it was just kind of like,
oh yeah.
And then I heard you explaining to her, it's like, in their family, they are all about letting them know. Because, I mean, you know why? Because we probably didn't say it as much until my mom died.
Oh, okay.
And then after my mom died, it was like Jody, Justin, Austin, Dad, Aunt Karen, grandmas, we tell them that we love them, because we know all too well how short life can be.
Yeah. It's sad that bad things have to happen to learn those kinds of lessons. So hopefully anyone out there can learn that lesson today before it is too late to say you love someone. Oh, well, that is really sad.
Yep. We're going to go ahead and end the show there. Thank you very much for tuning into the show. We're grateful to have you. I hope that you appreciated the 2 hours of content. Sorry about the technical issues with Rumble. I'm sure they'll be fixed by Monday. All of your financial support has just been fantastic. Stephanie and I, in terms of, what we're able to, do with the baby, I mean, we're like registered almost out. We got almost everything we needed. I saw Courtney Conover sent us the
dishwasher
basket.
For the baby bottle items.
Yes, don't worry. Thank you cards are of course in the mail, but I do want to give you guys.
I'm writing them right now.
So many of you guys have stepped up to help us with baby Hazel, our first baby. Just like I said after the baby shower last week, is like people are like, Austin, are you scared? Are you scared? Maybe a little nervous, but like the truth is that knowing that we have you, and you out there, that you're with us, that you're there. I mean, you're not here with us in person, but you're there with us in spirit, and physically you're manifesting your support for us, not only by the gifts that you help give us for baby Hazel, but your financial support and contributions. I just want you guys to know that I know how hard you work for your money, and to give it to us like that, to show your love and support in such a way, shows your love, and we love you back. Thank you. We appreciate you very much. Okay.
Oh, absolutely. We're going to teach Hazel about all of you. We'll talk about all of you, and you'll be her friends as well.
For sure. We can't wait to introduce you to her. She's going to be here in just a few short weeks.
Hard to believe.
Stephanie, anything else that you want to say?
Well, watch my hustling and homemaking video from this week, where I completely fail at making mozzarella cheese. And this coming week, I'm actually working on a shorter video, a reel. So that'll be interesting to see how you all like that. And as always, be free.
Don't forget, exit through the Grift Shop at ap4libertyshop.com. That's AP, the number 4, ap4libertyshop.com. It's time to stock up if you're low on Founding Flavors coffee. Get yourself a few boxes and celebrate freedom with us. The 4th of July is coming. Libertarian Christmas. I'm so excited. Enjoy our 4th of July collection over at ap4libertyshop.com. We have a blowout sale going on right now. What's the code, Stephanie?
Blowout.
Blowouts. Head on over to ap4libertyshop.com. Use the code BLOWOUT in our 4th of July collection. Get 20% off all of our 4th of July stuff. So head on over there. Big discounts. All right. We'll see you guys on Monday on the Wake Up America Show at wakeupAmericaShow.com.
It makes noise when I push it.
Expanse of time, a year might seem like a mere moment, but oh, what a year it's been. In September 2022, Austin and Stephanie Peterson embarked on a journey to wake up America. They began humbly, with just 20 souls tuning in, learning, listening, and though challenges arose, like the looming shadow of YouTube demonetization, their spirit never waned. And now, thanks to you, thousands rise with the sun to join them, to listen, to engage, to be a part of a community. So here's to you, and to Wake Up America, for memories shared, for friends made, for the journey ahead, and for never, ever forgetting to rise and freedom. Happy anniversary.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message. Believe me, Austin Peterson is the best. He's got the greatest Wake Up America show I've ever seen. Whenever I tune in the mornings and watch the live stream, let me tell you, he has got the absolute best content. I love his guests. It's just a total blast to watch, and I highly endorse and recommend the Wake Up America show. It's terrific, believe me.
Is the outdoor of your home about as exciting as a library? Then spice it up and unbore your space with our custom metal signs. Crafted with love and a bit of libertarian magic, you can customize your own metal sign at ap4libertyshop.com. So head to ap4libertyshop.com, customize your own metal sign today.
Welcome to a world of vocal discovery at Peterson Voice Studio. I'm Justin Peterson, here to guide your musical journey. Envision a place where your voice reaches new heights, where every note tells a story. We embrace all singers, from the enthusiastic shower vocalists to aspiring stars, ensuring each voice finds its unique rhythm and tone. Are you ready to elevate your voice? Visit PetersonVoiceStudio.com and sign up for remote lessons tailored just for you. Let's begin this melodious journey together.
Tired of spending your hard-earned money on woke corporations that don't share your pro-freedom values? Fed up with sipping liberal lattes and progressive cappuccinos? Introducing Founding Flavors from AP4Liberty Shop. Get your day started with Washington's Revolutionary Roast. As robust and principled as the man himself, this blend is the shot of energy heard round the world. Or maybe you want to taste the fervor of freedom with Adams's Patriotic Perk. It's as dynamic and balanced as the U.S. Constitution, sure to awaken your spirit of liberty. For the aficionados, we've got the Jeffersonian Java, a complex mix of flavors that speaks volumes about your refined tastes. And don't forget Betsy's Liberty Lullaby, our decaf option, crafted with the same care and dedication Betsy Ross put into our Star-Spangled Banner. This blend lets you enjoy the taste of freedom anytime without losing sleep. No woke beans here, folks. Just pure, patriotic, pro-freedom flavors brewed with love for liberty. So why compromise your principles for a cup of coffee? Stand up for your values, perk up your patriotism, and start your day the American way. Get your founding flavors at ap4libertyshop.com.